On this week's vlog, we've got cards, we've got napkins, and we've got ATCs. Hi, it's Stephen here for Bland Designs, and this is vlog number 36 for Monday, September the 18th, 2017. Hope everybody had a good weekend. The weather was excellent here where I live. In fact, this was more like summer weather than moving into fall weather. Too bad the whole summer hadn't been this way. And I guess this next week coming up, it's supposed to be actually hot. So, Indian summer, I guess. So anyways, let's get on with what I was doing. I've got a lot of things to talk about today. First of all, okay, so back last week I showed you a clip of my class, my art journaling class that I teach once a month at Class Act. And some of the ladies there are into ATCs, artist trading cards, and they want to know if I could use or take one of my classes and sort of make it themed around ATC cards. So I said, sure, if that's what the rest of the group would like, and the rest of the group said, sure, they'd like to try that. So we're going to do that. And really, ATC cards are nothing more than just a really mini version of an art journal page in many ways. So I've started to prepare for this. I'm not teaching it until December, but I started to prepare for this, and I got thinking, you know how I make cards. After I've done an art journal page, I will take pictures of it or scan it, and I will use those pages as the basis for my card fronts. Well, I thought, why can't I do the same thing with ATCs? So I did. So I took a bunch of my art journal pages that I'd already taken pictures of, and I just put them in. I used Photoshop to reduce the size and printed them out. They're a little warped for some reason, probably the glue I used. And lo and behold, instant ATC cards. So that's kind of neat. Now I made this pile up. I'm going to make a few more. And usually at my classes, I give every one of my ladies in the class one of my cards. And they're getting quite a collection of those because I do that usually with every class. So this class, when I get to it, I'm going to give them each a ATC card as well. So I did those. What else? Okay, so I mentioned that I want to do a mixed media Halloween themed sort of thing with a box. I've held off on that a little bit because Mike Deacon came out with some new stencils and some new laser cut wood pieces that are Halloween themed, and I've ordered those, and I'm waiting for those to come because I want to use them on this project. But I did create my background papers that I'm going to use to cover the box, and you can see the process that I did with these. I've got a video and it's listed down in the notes below. But just to give you a quickie look here, this is what I created. These strips. Actually, half of these are done on Tim Holtz blank tissue paper, which I'm not sure if you can still get it or not. And then the other half were just done on a couple of large pieces of deli paper, and then I cut everything in half just to make it easier because I'm going to be tearing these up. But I just used spray inks and stamps and stencils. And I think they turned out pretty nice. And as I said, I am going to be ripping these up and gluing them down onto the box that I'm going to use as my substrate. Now, speaking of the box, I found a box laying around here, and I gessoed it, and it was my intent to use that, but it's way too big. It would take a lot of materials to cover it, and quite frankly, I don't know what I'm going to do with the box when I'm done with it. So I went to the dollar store on the weekend and I picked up a couple of small little paper mache type boxes. I've gessoed those, and I think those ones are going to be much more manageable. But as I said, I'm waiting for those things from Mike Deacon to arrive before I start working on the boxes. So I will do a whole video about that, and I'll show you the end product when I get it done. I also bought at the dollar store a couple of cutouts out of wood. They're fairly large. One of a pumpkin and one of a skull head. And the thing about these that's kind of neat is they light up. There's a little LED light in it and it changes colors inside. But they're plain wood, So I have them gessoed now, and I'm going to do sort of a mixed media kind of thing to those, and I'll be able to hang those on my front doors, and that'll be about the extent of my Halloween decorations, because I don't really get into Halloween. I really don't. Okay, moving on. I did another video showing how I used leftover scraps to create cards, and these were the scraps that were left over from the card class that I taught at the art gallery last Thursday night. And here's my wings, got a little flattened on that. But here's these two cards made from scraps, and it's really fast, it's really easy, and there's a video down below of how I did this if you want to check that out. And I think it's kind of a neat way to use up your colorful scraps and things. And you can get quite a few cards out of what was left over from the scraps that I had as well. And I was sort of, I guess, in a card making mood this week. I don't know. I'm not a big card maker, really, but sometimes I get on a kick. So on the whole theme of scraps again, remember those embossed pieces of watercolor that I showed you about a week or 2 weeks ago, and then I applied the Luscious pigment powders that I got from UK, from Indigo Blue, to those just to create backgrounds. Well, then I cut out butterflies using my die cutting machine, and you saw the butterflies in last week's vlog. Well, I had the leftover negative piece that those had come out of, so I thought, you know, they're pretty. Why don't I use them as card fronts? And so what I did was I went into my stash of some of my printed papers from other projects, and I just overlaid the cutouts on top of the printed ones. I especially like this one because of the design inside. I just laid those over top and made them into a card. Again, fast and simple. If you want these to stand out a little bit more, you could probably just run a Sharpie or a black marker or something in around the edge of that. And I thought about doing that, but I decided not to, because I thought maybe subtle is better. I don't know, but they're very colorful, very pretty. Took no time to make, and another great way to use up something that normally I would probably just discard. So those were the various projects this week, but the big thing I've been working on this week has been learning how to use my serger. And you know that I inherited a serger from my sister-in-law many years ago when she passed away. And it's just been sitting on a shelf, and I always said I was going to learn how to use it. So I'm trying to learn how to use it. And I especially want to learn how to do something they called a rolled hem. And I have done that. I have figured that out, and so I've just gone to town. And the reason I want to know how to make a rolled hem was because I want to make my own cloth napkins. Okay, here is the problem with making cloth napkins. Now you would think, a cloth napkin, square of material, you do the rolled hem around it, yay, you got a napkin. And you can get them in any color you want. That's what I want to do. I want it to customize the color. I didn't want white. Again, because I had white napkins, and you know, after a while, doesn't matter how many times you clean them, how many times you bleach them, whatever, they just get dingy, and sometimes you can't get the stains out of them, and so that's the end of that. And also, you go out and you price napkins, and napkins are not, like, for decent napkins, and I'm not talking linen, I'm talking cotton. Well, I stay away from cotton because I don't like to iron, but just polyester. Well, 4 napkins can run you $20 and up for decent ones. And I'm thinking, wow, I would need probably minimum of 3 sets, because we use cloth napkins at every meal. And when I say we, I mean I use a cloth napkin. Walter's is just on the table as a decoration. He's not a napkin person. Okay, I don't know what that says about him, but I use a napkin all the time. My mother brought me up properly, all right? But anyways, I wanted to make my own. Well, not so easy. It has nothing to do with the technology of making them. It has everything to do with finding the right material. I didn't realize, this is how little I knew about the sewing world. I didn't realize that printed material is only printed on one side. I wanted material that's printed on both sides. Now, yes, I could probably use 2 squares, sew them together, but then I thought, well, when they get washed, won't they sort of pull apart because there's nothing holding together in the center? And I suppose I could stitch them in the center. I don't know. So I got very frustrated at my local, well, it's called a Fabric Land. I had a girl helping me. They really had nothing to choose from. They had what they called tablecloth material that's suitable for making napkins, but it came in cream and in white, and it was just plain. I didn't want just plain. They did have black. Who wants black napkins? I don't. So there was nothing to choose from. She showed me some printed material that she said would probably work, and it was material that's meant for making shirts. It was nice material. It should be at $28 a meter. Like, wow. Again, there goes cheap, because I'm figuring I need to get 4 napkins. I probably need about a meter's worth of material out of it. So really, you're not saving any money on making napkins. But anyways, I looked around, I hunted around. There are a few other things I needed in the store as well. Long story short, I came out of there without any material. So then Walter got the idea. He says, well, you know, since you're just figuring this out and you're just experimenting right now, why don't we go to Walmart or someplace and find a cheap tablecloth, like a damask tablecloth or something like that. And then you can just kind of cut it up and try it out in that. Yeah, neat idea. At Walmart, they had 3 shades of gray. That was it. They had nothing. There was nothing with a nice print on it. It was horrible selection. So I didn't buy anything there. I'm still on the quest for that kind of thing. Then Walter says, well, what about, we've got some old tablecloths at home that we haven't used in ages. Well, I thought we did. I forgot that in one of my cleaning spurts, decluttering, I got rid of all those old tablecloths that I hadn't used in 1,000 years. Figures, you know, as soon as you get rid of it, you need it. So that idea went out the window. However, all the white napkins that I had said that had gone all kind of dingy and that kind of thing, I've been putting in a big bag, rag bag, you know, for cleaning and things like that. So I went in the rag bag and I dug out about 10 of these. And I rewashed them all. They'd gone in clean. I had washed them before, but this time I put them all in the washing machine, really socked the bleach to them too, as well, to see if I could get more of the stains out. That sort of worked, sort of didn't work. And so I had at least this material. So I decided now I'm going to make my own napkins with those. Sort of a recycling project. So I'll show you what I came up with. So I was thinking, how do I change the color? So I have this stuff. It's by Jacquard, and it's basically little bottles of liquid. Actually, these ones have a shimmer to them, and you can you can use them as a fabric dye. So I did. Now, this first one, I wasn't really sure how to go about this. So I sprayed this with water first, put it in a little pan, and then I sort of drizzled some of the colors over top of it and sort of added more water and squished it all through and whatnot. So I made a napkin with my own stains on it. Go figure. Well, stain to hide a stain. But, you know, not bad. And so you can see my serging. Look at that. Look at that. That's my serging. That's my rolled hem. Okay. I'm not sure which side's the better side. I think that. And so I pressed them and there we go. So I decided to do another one. This one I like a little better because I got a little bit more experimental with the inks and things. It's almost kind of a tie-dye. But then I was searching on the internet. There's my lovely rolled hem. Okay. So I did some more searching on the internet, especially YouTube, to see what people are doing in terms of making their own napkins and how they dye them. And I saw this process, and I'm going to try it maybe later today, where you take shaving cream. Now, I have done this technique, but with paper. This is just using material. So, you know, you take the shaving cream, you spread it out on a cookie sheet and make it, you know, smooth it out. And then you drop in this Jacquard stuff that I've got, and then you take a bamboo skewer or whatever and just draw lines through it, just like you were going to marble paper kind of a thing, and lay your material on top of that and press it into it, get it well coated in that, flip it over, take it out of the pan, flip it over, scrape off the excess shaving cream, let it dry, and then you wash it and dry it, and you've got printed material. Now they were using it for quilt making, so I thought, well, I'll give it a try for napkins as well. So I haven't done that yet, but when I do, I'll show that to you. So I'm still playing, I'm still experimenting with this. I don't know, I may have to search online and see if I can find a place that sells fabric that's, I don't know if they make it or not. I really want double-sided print fabric, but maybe that's asking too much. I suppose when they print on it, it would go through, so it would have to be fairly heavy material. I don't know. I don't know in the process of how they make material. So I'll go search for it. Now, while I was playing and learning how to use my serger, though, I made a few other little things. Now, this could be like a cocktail napkin. What this is, though, is just I bought, you know, those, when you go, just from Walmart, I bought some of these material squares. They come in a bundle. I don't know if they call them a fat quarter or something, whatever. So they have a variety of materials, and while I was trying to learn how to do the serger, I did this, and you know, it could make a napkin. This is just cotton. It's not printed on both sides, although, you know, I'm getting to the point now where I think, well, even if you have that on one side, that would be okay. Same with this. Now, this was not, I've had this piece of material laying around forever. I don't know where it came from. I've had it for years, but decided to do this with it. And I had ordered some of Cricut's material just to try it out on the machine. And by the way, these squares I cut out using the Cricut Maker, and it does a wonderful job of that. I can tell you that right now. But I got some of their material, and I made these. Now, I'm not sure how these will wash up. I almost don't want to use them as napkins because they're kind of nice. They're pretty. I've got my, you know, my bound edge here, or my rolled hem edge, which I'm very proud of. You'll notice all of them are the same color. I have 4 different colors of serging thread in my machine because that's what this course I told you I was taking with Craftsty recommended when you're first learning, so you can see, you know, where the tension is going wrong on which ones. But I kind of like the colors and how they come out on to the napkins, so I just left that in. Then what else was I doing? Well, I was just having too much fun sewing. Okay, so I had this big bolt of material I bought for really cheap back a couple of years ago. It's an upholstery cloth, actually, I think, but it had script all over it. So I decided to cut some of it up. I still have tons of it left, and just practice my serging and whatnot. So I made this little bag using the serger. I have no idea what I'm going to use the little bag for. I was just playing with it. Then I thought I'd get really fancy, and this didn't work. Didn't work. I thought I'd, oh, this is another bag, a little bigger. Okay. I was just playing around with this stuff. Then I made this one, and I decided to get real fancy, and I'd incorporate cloth ribbon into it, sew it right into the seam, so you could tie this bag up. Well, no. I mean, it was no problems getting this sewn into the side of the bag. It's just there must be something I need to do so that, like I was thinking, you know, it would gather at the top. Now, I know there could be holes or something or slots in this to do this, but, well, I suppose if you got stuff in here, you could sort of do, I don't know. But anyways, I was having fun playing. That's all that mattered. Now I'm learning how to use the machine. I did break a needle, figured out how to replace that. I've rethreaded that machine 100 times, so I'm getting good at that, and that's good. Oh, I made like useless little, oh, this, here you go. Here's your own little personal glass case. Wow. And you can't get enough of whatever these would be. Little squares. I mean, it's just fun. I kind of get turned on by serging. Oh, and then, okay. This could have actually been a pencil case. Okay. And it could still serve that way, except there's no closure in it. But that's something I've got to figure out, is how do you put a zipper into things? I do know on that course that I bought from Craftsy, she does do a project where she puts in a zipper, but I haven't got to that stage yet. But I'll have to check that out to see what that's all about. So anyways, I've been just a mad little seamstress here all week, and card making and sewing, and actually I was looking at some videos about using your serger to make quilts. I've always been fascinated by quilting, but a needle and a thread for me is a recipe for death, for bloodletting. I will stab myself 100,000 times over. So I'm thinking, the Cricut Maker cuts material very nicely. And it was designed to cut material with a rotary blade, especially for people who sew and especially for people who make quilts. I've seen videos about using a serger to make a quilt. Maybe I should give this a try and see. We'll see. Anyways, it's another toy in my arsenal of things, and I'm having fun with it. All right, so speaking of fun and speaking of making messes, because I usually do make a mess, I found a YouTube channel. It's called Let's Make a Mess Today. The lady who runs this channel, she's a little wacky, but there's some really great ideas, and she makes things out of nothing. So here's the YouTube channel. This week's YouTube page is Let's Make a Mess Today. The lady who does this is very, very creative, and she makes great art and crafts out of almost virtually nothing. What's one man's trash is her muse, I guess. She's a little off the wall, and so are her creations, but they're very inspiring, they're very colorful, and really, they're showing you how to feed that inner art need using a minimal amount of materials and a lot of stuff you already have around the house. Basically, making art out of trash. So check her out for some inspiring ideas. That's Let's Make a Mess Today. So I've put the link to that YouTube channel below, and there's some other things you're going to find in the comment box below too. You'll find a link to my video on making a junk journal. I got really creative last week. I think I made 4 videos. So I have one on making a junk journal. I'm doing that class in October. And I have another video on there about making a junk journal, but this one's a little bit more detailed, I think, in showing you the instructions on how I do it anyways. There's also a video for the cards I showed you earlier, making them out of leftover scraps. There's a video for how I made the Halloween themed background paper. And there's also a link to another video in there, which I call A Chat with Stephen and Walter. Now, you may have seen this on the weekend. Way back, many months ago, when we came back from Australia, Walter and I did a Champagne Friday kind of video and talked about our trip and things like that. And I've always wanted to do something on a more regular basis with Walter, especially now that he's about to retire. So, and I mentioned this in one of my vlogs a couple of weeks ago. Well, we decided on Saturday night we would do this. Of course, Walter put up a little bit of resistance to this idea because he said, what are we going to talk about? And I said, I don't know, just follow my lead. We'll just talk about whatever comes to mind. And we'll see how people like it. Well, apparently a lot of people liked it. Within 24 hours, we had over 100 views, and people were writing us very nice comments about it and said that they want to see more. And I've asked for people to give me ideas like questions and answers. You know, you got some questions that you want to ask us about anything, put them in the comment box below and we'll answer them. So I'm getting a collection of those now. If you haven't seen the video, I've put a link below. Check it out and see what you think. Just remember that when we were doing it, we really didn't know what we were doing. So I'm hoping that the next one we make, which will be maybe next Friday night or next Saturday or something, it'll be a little bit more organized than this first one. But anyways, I think it's kind of fun. And the other thing I found that was really fun, and I'm debating on whether to try this or not, is doing a live broadcast. Now, I've put up resistance to the idea of a live broadcast before because Well, one, when's the best time of the day to put on a live broadcast? Two, what am I going to do in a live broadcast that I don't do already in my videos? You know, three, what if nobody comes online for it? Well, I was sitting yesterday in the living room while Walter was getting us some brunch, and I was talking about this, and so I had my cell phone in my hand, so I went to YouTube on my cell phone, and I tried the live. I didn't realize how easy it is. The only experience I'd had before was on my computer with it, and at that time you had to download another program to do something with it, and it got very complicated, and I didn't think it was really worth the effort. So I did a little live broadcast as Walter was cooking in the kitchen, only for about 4 minutes, just trying it out, and I had like about 3 people. I was surprised. This is like 12:30 Sunday afternoon, and about 3 or 4 people suddenly joined in on the live. So I used them as guinea pigs and asked them, can you hear me? Can you see me? What's it like? Whatnot. Seemed to work okay. Now the other advantage of that is, I guess YouTube automatically uploads the live video after you're finished to YouTube as a recorded video. So that's got potential as well. Now, you may all know about how this works. I didn't. So I might try another test live broadcast maybe later today or whatever. I guess what happens is you'll get a notification when I go live if you've checked the little bell thing on my YouTube channel. And we'll see what happens maybe. I don't know what I'll talk about or what I'll show. It'll just be a test, but I'll see. So if you happen to be around, you see the notification, you got nothing better to do with yourself, you know, tune in and chat with me. And let me know whether or not you think this has some potential for the things that I do. Okay, moving on. So what's pissing me off this week? Nothing really major. Actually, though, one thing I got thinking about is language. Now, of course, I think about language because I used to be an English teacher, as you know, and language is important to me. And the brutalization, if that's a word, of the English language. What I mean by that is how words are used, overused, or used in ways that they were never intended to be used. And what got me thinking about this was I was watching a bunch of YouTube videos as usual, and people seem to use the word super all the time. This is super great. This is really super. This is a super process, super video, Superman. I don't know. Everybody's using super, super awesome. Okay, overuse of the word super. To the point where, you know, if it was a drinking game and every time somebody said super on one of those videos, you had to take a shot. You'd be laid out on the floor within the first 10 minutes of some of these videos. I just find it really quite annoying. There are other words out there you can use in place of super. Get a thesaurus. That's what they were invented for. Have some variety. And quite frankly, I think what's even worse is when I hear an older person, a person in my age group, are using super this, super that all the time. You sound kind of juvenile. You sound like a kid, okay? We expect kids to not to butcher the language. But really, youth have their own language, okay? They use words differently than people in our age group, and that's fine. But when somebody in our age group uses the slang of a young person, oh, well, man, that's really sick. It just sounds stupid. I think it does anyways. Not that you always have to be very prim and proper about your language. I mean, I was an English teacher. I have an English degree, but do I speak always in complete grammatically correct sentences? No, nobody does. But nevertheless, it's the overuse of a word like super and the other word awesome. Everything is awesome. Awesome this, awesome that. That's super awesome. That's awesome, super, awesome, super. Okay, again, get a thesaurus. But I guess the one word that bugs me more than anything, and you hear young people doing this all the time, but it has extended into the language now where you hear it from people of all ages, and it's the word like. Like, I went to the store like yesterday, like, and I was looking like for something that I had the craving like for something really sweet, like. So I thought I'd go in there like and get something like that, but I couldn't find it, like, because they were all out. Like, oh my God, sounds like Valley Girl. And if you don't know Valley Girl from the 1980s, it was like, oh my God, look at her over there. Oh my God, just gag me with a spoon. Oh, like, she's so like ugly. I don't know what she's thinking. Oh my God. Okay, Valley Girl. It just, the overuse of the word like. And the problem I had when I was teaching English too was I used to have to go over this with the students because I would get essays, formally written essays, where they would use like completely incorrectly, and they had the word like in every sentence in their paper. Like, Shakespeare wrote like a lot of plays, like they were like tragedies and like comedies and like histories, and like his characters like always die like badly. Okay, I just see a ponytail out of the side of your head kind of a thing. Maybe I'm being sexist, you know. I see your shirt collar turned up, whatever. I'm thinking of the 80s here. So anyways, what am I pissed off about? Well, language. How, you know, there's different levels of language that we use. We use the language that we use every day with people that are closest to us, our friends, our family, that kind of thing. But when you're in a more formal setting, like a business place, you're going for a job interview or something like that, language and the way you use it tells a potential employer or someone that's over top of you, an administrator, really gives them an impression of who you are. And if you're like talking like this like all the time, they consider you pretty much a dummy. So, you know, language is something that creates an impression, and we have to learn how to use it properly and when to use it improperly, I guess. Whatever. So, yeah, that's not much of a pissed off thing, but I just got thinking because of all those YouTubes I was watching. Like, I was watching a lot, like, okay, and like they were super and they were awesome, but like the language was not so super or so awesome. Like, it was making me like sick, and I mean that like ill sick, not sick like, okay, I'm going too nuts here. Okay, enough of what's pissing me off this week. All right, moving on. Okay, technique of the week. Well, I've already showed you the samples. My technique of the week is using a rolled hem with a serger. So, and that's about what I spent most of the week working on. So, moving on. Okay, so inspiration for this week. Things I've gleaned from YouTube videos. Well, I've got two things that are kind of interesting, I think. Number one, I've written down here, take photos and distress them to make them look old, and then use these to create cards or art journal or scrapbook layouts. There's a man, I've mentioned him before. His name is Seth Apter. Apter, yeah. And he's a lot like Tim Holtz, just not quite as well known as Tim Holtz. But he loves to distress things and do vintage, and he loves doing collage. And I've got about 4 of his videos. And his videos are very good. But one of them that I've just started watching is called this photo play. And what he does is he takes a photo and he distresses it by scratching into it, putting paint on it, rubbing things over it, and all kinds of stuff. And it becomes sort of vintage and grunged look. It's kind of a neat technique. So I'm thinking I should give that a try. I got to watch more of this video. I haven't finished this yet. And by the way, if you're really interested in this kind of video, where I get these is a site called, let me find it here. It's called artistnetwork.tv, and I've put the link below to this. They have a lot of really neat videos. Some you can just download right from their site. Others you can get a hard copy. They're not badly priced, and they're very professional. They're very well done, and I've learned quite a lot from them. So Seth Apter, he's got about 4 of these out, and they're all very good. He's got one on doing layers, another one on doing, I think it was a deconstructed book or reconstructing it or something, and there was another one, I can't remember what it was. But they're all very, very good. I highly recommend them. So that was one idea. Another idea I saw, apply oxide inks to mini jelly plates, mist with water, then stamp onto an art journal page or piece of cardstock to create a background for an art journal layout or card. So, you know, the jelly plates come in large sizes, but they also come in little mini ones. And people were just taking a brayer, applying some paint on them as though they were going to do a print, but instead of doing a print, they just took them, slapped them onto the page, and they got an impression. And they're just going all over, sort of block printing in a sense, all over a page, and it looked kind of cool. Because especially when you mix your paints a little bit, you get more transparent colors than others, so you get sort of layers building up as you stamp these down. So I thought that could make really interesting pieces that you could use in their entirety, or you could cut into smaller pieces, kind of like I did with the cards that I made from scraps or whatever, or mosaic pieces, and laying them down. So it's just another way of making backgrounds. I love making backgrounds, I love making background paper and things like that. So I'm going to give that a try, I think, at some point. Okay, maybe you'll try it before I do, then you can let me know how it worked out for you. Okay, so what else? Well, news of this week. You know, you live in a place for a long time and you really forget what, well, not forget, you take it for granted. You figure there's nothing going on in your own neighborhood, kind of a thing. Oshawa, where I live, Oshawa, Ontario, has a bit of a bad rep for being a, you know, blue collar town because there's a GM plant here. Downtown Oshawa has always had a bad rep because, you know, not the nicest of people hang out there on the streets and whatnot, and there's not a lot of really nice shopping down there because we have this huge mall, and we've had it for like since the 1950s, and it's gone through many evolutions over the years, and it's a huge nice mall. They just did a multi-million-dollar extension to it that took them a year and a half or so to get to finish, and it's a really nice mall, and that's where everybody goes to shop. So yeah, the downtown doesn't get a lot of action. Well, the other day I went out to lunch with one of the people from the art gallery, and when she suggested where we go for lunch, she had a whole bunch of places, a list of places I had never heard of. I didn't know they existed. And so we're walking downtown Oshawa to go to this one place for lunch, and I'm seeing stuff I did not know existed there. So I'm going to explore downtown Oshawa later this week. Like, I'm a tourist, never been there before, and see what's to be offered, because really, my eyes were opened on that day. And another place downtown Oshawa that I heard about on Thursday night when I was doing my art class is the Oshawa Art Association has a facility. They call it Gallery 67. Now, it's in a banquet room in the basement of the Holiday Inn Express, which is right downtown. They've only just opened this up, but I guess that's this place for artists can go in there on Tuesdays, I think, bring their stuff with them and use the space to work, like an open studio kind of idea. If you become a member, and I think becoming a member is only about $20 or something like that for a year, you can actually display some of your work there in the gallery and sell it. And they're always looking for people to teach classes. And according to this one person I was talking to, you don't have to be a fine art artist to teach classes there. They're looking for a wide variety of classes. And she suggested to me that I go in there and teach some mixed media kind of stuff or art journaling stuff. So, of course, it's a volunteer kind of a thing. You don't get paid for doing these classes, and the classes, I think, are free. I don't know, they might charge something for the classes as well. So I might go down there on Tuesday, tomorrow, and just check it out and talk to some people and see what's up, because I didn't know this existed. And it's just another great outlet for creativity, and might be a great place for me too, because I like teaching classes, and I'll take some of their classes as well. Who knows? So anyways, that's the news of the week. And I already mentioned the fact that I did my art card class on Thursday night at RMG. I only had 3 people in the class, but it was very short notice. The notice didn't go out until the Monday before the Thursday. But we created a bunch of really nice cards that are donated to the gallery, and the gallery uses those as thank yous for people coming there to do special things or events and all that kind of stuff. And it was kind of fun. The 3 ladies I had in the class, we had a good time with it all. So that was it. What's coming up? Nothing. Well, I don't have any events planned or whatever for the next week. Maybe next Friday night, maybe next Saturday night, maybe we will do another chat with Stephen and Walter and answer the questions that people put in. And again, if you have questions for us, just write them in the comments below. And maybe I'll even try it as a live broadcast. I don't know. We'll see about that. So that was the week that was. And I guess there's nothing else to tell you right now. So have a good one. And I'll see you next Monday. Bye-bye for now.